So the biggest bombshell was, of course, from EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland, who explicitly said that there was a quid pro quo. But what was interesting for me about his testimony wasn't simply that there was a quid pro quo, but what it was about. He's saying that he was aware of the fact that the quid pro quo involved the Americans offering a meeting to the Ukrainian president with Trump in the White House in exchange for investigations being opened into alleged 2016 election interference by Ukraine and into Joe Biden and Burisma. Now, this is interesting. Why? Because it undercuts one of the Republicans' main defenses, which is that no quid pro quo took place. It's just a rhetorical point that the Republicans are trying to score in that the military aid was given to the Ukrainians eventually, and therefore, hey, look, there's no crime here. We gave them the aid. What's the problem? Of course, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because we know that the aid was only released after it became clear that Congress was investigating what the holdup was all about. In fact, on September 9th, when Sondland says he spoke with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump told him that there was no quid pro quo and that he didn't want anything from Ukraine and that he just wanted Zelensky to do the right thing, well, that conversation took place on the same day as Congress started its investigation into the holdup of military aid to Ukraine. So Trump's own defense of himself that he said in front of reporters yesterday is that phone conversation is proof that he didn't want anything from the Ukrainians in exchange for what he had promised them. But if you look at it in the context of what Congress was up to at that moment, you can see why he would have wanted to get on the record in his denial of there not being any quid pro quo in that phone conversation with Sondland, which is why I think it's so important to roll back the tape a little bit to earlier in the summer when Sondland says that the White House meeting was on the table, and that was, in essence, the this for that in the quid pro quo. And so for Ukraine, it's been very difficult to understand what they should be doing and how should they be playing this situation out in their relationship with the United States. Because the other Republican strategy has been to say, you know, the Ukrainians have given many, many interviews saying that there was no pressure and they were not pushed to do anything. But that doesn't necessarily answer why they're saying the things that they're saying. They depend on Donald Trump and the United States for both diplomatic cover and for assistance with their military. They need it. They can't afford to anger Donald Trump. So it's not in their interests to come out and talk about all of the things that have been said behind closed doors. But that doesn't mean that we don't know about anything that did happen behind closed doors, because from some of the text messages and communications that have been released, we knew that the Ukrainians were telling charge d'affaires, the highest-ranking diplomat in Ukraine, Bill Taylor, that they wanted to be taken seriously and they didn't just want to be an instrument in American domestic politics, which tells me that they understood what was happening and how they were being used and that they did feel pressured. And that's all part of the record. So some of the Republican counter-arguments there that the Ukrainians are publicly stating that they weren't pushed, they fall flat.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.